For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
My special guest today is Lieutenant General Raj Shukla. Till very recently, the Army Commander at the Army Training Command, and conceptually and intellectually one of the thinkers, military thinkers that India has of late, who speaks on various issues which are the future threats and challenges, and of course prospects for India and Indian military. But also someone who speaks his mind. So welcome, Raj, for this interaction. In fact, let me start with the global flux that we are looking at right now. Multiple threats, multiple challenges, multiple conflicts going on. What's your sense? Are we in midst of some big change, or this is going to be an incremental kind of conflicts that are happening right now?
So Nitin, I'll just put some facts before you as I read them, and then you judge for yourself. But sure. I mean, I would say it is far more than a flux. If I may use the term, the world is on an edge. It is on a powder keg. And let me explain why.
Sure.
So, Walter Russell Mead
right.
very perceptively said that 2014 we entered the pre-war era.
Right.
And I used to wonder, what does he mean? Till I met General Patrick Sanders, who had come for IPAC recently.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's also a very thinking guy. Patrick said that we are the war generation. And look at it now. Look at the conflicts. There seems to be an unending line.
Right.
Georgia, Crimea, Nagorno-Karabakh, Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan. Europe which thought that, eternal prosperity is
the answer to everything
is its own, and it is poor Africa and Asians who fight.
Correct.
Look at what happened there, and on issues which are territorial.
Right.
India में बात होने लगी थी कि भाई लड़ाई नहीं होने वाली, and today it is First World War I trench warfare.
That's
so the squadron company battles.
Exactly.
So this is, I mean, Walter Russell Mead was entirely perceptive in terms of this, this war business.
Era you mentioned.
Look at what is happening in Taiwan. I am telling you, I have concluded that the Chinese A2AD has successfully put the Americans out of the first attitude. See, just look at this. 1996, China acts funny, and the aircraft carrier comes, Clinton dispatches it, and China backs off. Today, American naval commanders are saying that our aircraft carriers have to be 1,000 miles off.
Yes.
It is only the expendable ships which will go.
Right.
And no war has been fought. But China is doing daily military coercion.
Right.
It seems to be signaling to the Americans that retreat to your corner of the Pacific.
Yes.
So, all this is working. Look at American failing deterrence. I mean, people are asking in America now, $950 billion, 800 bases, 11 aircraft carriers, and you are losing everywhere.
And South China Sea, they have lost in the last 10 years.
Ukraine, you have lost. With Russia now mobilizing, is Putin going to take the battle to Ukraine?
Right.
So it's not a thing to feel good about, but it's a fact. The failure of American deterrence. Yeah. 1 week before 7th October, Jake Sullivan in a conference. I mean, one should not blame him for it. Anyone would do it, but the fact is this. He was asked about the world. He said, we have problems elsewhere, but West Asia is taken care of.
And then 7th October
The lesson from Israel.
Yes.
I mean, we as soldiers, we used to swear by Israel, a technological superpower.
Correct.
So the point is, complacency doesn't work. The Americans are failing in their deterrence. Look at the outstretched US military. Their defense strategy very clearly says China is the pacing threat, which means they should pivot. As they pivot, Putin कुछ गड़बड़ कर देता है, फिर West Asia में कुछ हो जाता है. Today, America is not able to honor its own commitments to Taiwan. $19 billion का वो. So you see this failure of deterrence. Churchill made a good statement. He said that you can either fight 2 wars or win 1. Look at the American dilemma: fight 3 wars or win 1.
Correct.
So American deterrence, is being seriously challenged. Look at some facts I'll give you. Mighty America, look at the state of its military-industrial complex.
Sure.
I'm told there is a report to suggest that America doesn't have 7 days of missiles and munitions to fight in Taiwan.
Sure.
For the last 3 years, the US Army and its Marines have missed their recruiting targets. Navy यार, American Navy के मुकाबले में कोई नहीं था.
Exactly.
2025, China will have 400 ships. America will have 295.
Correct.
Look at how the military balance is changing. In Ukraine, the Ukrainians were firing 100,000 artillery rounds per week. The West could produce 1 lakh rounds in a month. The shortfall. Russia is winning because of its military.
They have the
investment.
military, yeah.
See, General Rawat, may his soul rest in peace, used to ask us, why do you need 40i? We couldn't explain.
Yeah.
The reality seems to be
This is
90i.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and look at one more worrying fact, which Neil Ferguson makes, when I haven't heard an American response. He says today, the American debt is $33 trillion.
It is.
Which means you need $1 trillion to just for debt
Service.
servicing. Defense, $950 billion. For the first time in American history, their debt exceeds their defense budget.
True.
Which means what? They don't have the resources to reinvigorate the military.
Yes. No, I know from people who actually deal with these ammunitions and others in the West that their capacities have gone down so much. So you're right, absolutely, about declining
and now
West power.
Admiral Paparo,
Yeah.
the CNC of IPACOM, he says the DF-21s and DF-27s, the missiles of the Chinese, have permanently altered the principles of naval warfare in the Western
These
Pacific.
are carrier killers.
Exactly. So, I mean, the point is, and see what, if America gets locked out of East Asia, look what happens to us. We're going to face, unipolar world was bad, but unipolar Asia will be worse.
Unipolar Asia with the Chinese dominance.
And
will
see,
be.
what is it doing to the allies? In a time of rising expectations, America's capabilities are phasing.
Sure.
I'm told in private, the Koreans told the Americans that, listen, if it comes to Taiwan, we have to deal with North Korea. The Japanese are having second thoughts.
Exactly.
So American deterrence is a consequence of all this. The purists, don't seem to admit, but I think Cold War 2.0 is here.
That's right.
Ukraine was the first hot war. Taiwan may become the Cuban Missile Crisis, but is bar ulta. Last time America was playing the home game.
And they didn't blink,
This
but
time,
the Russians did.
and also the home game. You
Home
have
game,
to
yeah.
project power.
Correct.
So I mean, somebody said, I think Dan Blumenthal, he said, you see, Americans are good at hashtags. Hashtag Zelensky, hashtag. Where is the cold military steel?
Yeah, exactly.
And now see the critical question. If you look if you back off in Ukraine, what message does it send to Iran, to North Korea, and to China?
Yeah.
So what is happening in the world is having, great consequences. And at least for now, the winners seem to be Russia and Europe, Iran in West Asia, perhaps China
in
here.
Asia. So what is the consequence for us then?
Exactly. So just 2 more points here. The consequence for both of us is this, that America is a comeback nation. It has come back many times in the past. It could now, even with Japan and all. But what we should worry about is the rate at which China is converting economic surpluses and technological advantages into hard power.
Right.
Bill Clinton at one time said it's the economy stupid.
Sure.
I posit, is it not national security stupid?
It is.
This ability, the Americans should watch and we should watch.
Yeah.
See, in our case, after 2014, the defense landscape has been transformed. We all know it, CDS, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, all that. But the game is becoming bigger. Our ability to transform our surpluses into currencies of hard power, if we lag with the Chinese, the lag will grow. The power asymmetry must grow. So that is what, I think again that phrase is of Dan Blumenthal. He says, in a war era, our responses are not at war rates.
They're still at the peacetime thing.
Yeah, not at the war pace.
Correct. Yeah.
This is the criticality,
That's right.
which we need to take care of. And see, let's make one point about China because it's material to us. China has a lot of trouble. You meet people who will tell you, and I agree with it, a tanking economy, unemployment, real estate, what happened in the rocket force, all that stuff. The CHIPS Act is perhaps working, IDA. But the point is this, that in globalization 2.0, in most of the technologies, apart from I think AI, robotics, electric vehicles, green energy, quantum, I think there was a ORF report, in 37 out of 44, China leads.
Leading. Yeah. And
this
they also
should-
have rare earth
Exactly.
materials, you know.
This should worry up. You know why is Z got after Jack Ma and all? He's told them that, listen, you are wasting your time on video games, spoiling my youngsters.
Right.
Use them to create science and hypersonics.
Exactly.
So this is the way China looks at hard power, and that is why it should worry us a lot, because all that hard power which is being deployed against Taiwan, especially the rocket force and all, can be turned on us.
So, like I was saying, you know, all this, India, how should it respond, and what
Yes.
should be the Indian plan?
Before I come to India, I'll just say one point, short
Yeah.
point. You see, the singularity of American hegemony is being challenged in many ways. That is the first point. And the arsenal of democracy, which was that democracy, all that democracies stand for, all the good things will be protected by a very strong military arsenal. That was the philosophy behind those $950 billion and all that. The arsenal of democracy is fading, and the arsenal of autocracy is doing better.
Correct. And that is the fight between the two systems.
That should worry us. So now see, in our context, what I make this point, that this edifice which has been laid of CDS, DMA and all the other things, you know, Atmanirbhar Bharat, new normals in our strategic outlook.
Sure.
We need to build on this to make a comprehensive national security makeover and reduce the power asymmetry with China. And one of the major ways of doing it is technologies and associated changes, not technologies alone, say technologies, cultural transitions,
Exactly.
things like civil military fusion and
Yeah,
all. See, I'll give you one example. If it is true, China's defense spending in 1995 was 2.5% of its GDP. Last year it was 1.7. Now, you know, they may be concealing a few things here and there, but the fact is that they carried out their major military transformation without spiraling costs.
That's right. So they did the what you call right sizing at many places.
Yes, and see the other issue. America's defense budget is 3 times that of China's. China's defense budget is 3 times that of ours.
Yes.
Why is Beijing causing displacement anxiety in Washington and we don't cause similar
Correct.
displacement?
Similar,
Because structural corrections, theater commands, cultural transitions. See, cultural transitions. To get AI going, the Americans have got Craig Martel as their AI officer. Who's Craig Martel? He is neither a soldier nor a bureaucrat nor a academic. He was doing machine learning in Lyft.
Right.
So you are admitting that if I have to get AI going, I need to get somebody of that sort.
Absolutely.
That is the first step.
Correct. Except other, you know, what you call specialities.
CENTCOM has got, of course, somebody to do AI. They have got a lady, I think her name is Dr. Juliana Moore, who is an innovationist, which means they are saying innovation is different from technology. Innovation is somebody who says
Using technology for betterment.
and other issues, processes and all that. Now see, in our case, AI can be the secret sauce to reduce power asymmetry between us and China. See, I'll give you an example. This question that is, Shafi, what we should not fall prey to. See what went wrong in space. Till 2012, India was saying we don't militarize space. The world was leveraging space.
Already doing it.
2014, it became an active war-fighting domain,
Right.
and see the consequences. So basic space prowess we have. So we are doing very well in Chandrayaan,
Yeah, exactly.
South Pole. Where are we failing? Commercial space, military space worse.
Yes.
We are absent in the LEO circuit.
Right. Exactly.
Look what has happened there. Even the Americans. We heard of that incident of Starlink. See
Right.
what Elon Musk did.
Yeah.
Starlink
Ukraine.
for Zelensky to communicate with global councils, to communicate with street resolve, and for troop morale. Also for artillery designation. And now see, here's the icing on the cake. I believe those Ukrainians sometime back, maybe 5-6 months back, decided to put some ammunition on an underwater submarine or underwater drone and use it to target the Black Sea fleet. Elon Musk gets a wind of it. He switches off the Starlink.
Correct.
The Ukrainians go rushing to him. He consults the Russians and decides that, you know, the Russians tell him, no, we will retaliate and it may go into the nuclear domain. he decides to switch it off,
So-
and the submarine doesn't function, or that,
he has
that
the power
device.
of doing that.
Is he CEO or is he Chief of Defence Staff?
Exactly.
But we must acknowledge this is how power has moved to that sector. So we must get our tech
right.
giants into defence.
Correct.
And now look at the conclusion. I don't know how true this is. But when this was going on, people queried, why are we dependent on Elon Musk Starlinks? Where are ours? The US military now has done Star Shields as a sequence to Starlinks.
Right.
So I'm saying we need first and foremost a LEO configuration, say in Ladakh,
Yeah.
a LEO configuration in the northeast. Quad War की हम इतनी बात करते हैं. Let's just do silent technological cooperation,
Sure.
co-design. Why not say AI enablement of the northern theatre?
Right.
But see what is happening. Those debates constrain us. You know, militarization. In AI, we should not fall prey. Again, it has started.
Oh,
Risks,
risk,
opportunities. Risk की बात कौन करता है? जिन्होंने अपना कर लिया है.
Correct.
So we should, I think Raja Mohan also has written an article yesterday or something. Nuclear apartheid.
Should not get into AI.
So of course risks, there are responsible ways of doing it, but don't lose capacity. See, what are you competing with? China. Look at its ambition in AI.
Absolutely.
They are saying we will link sensors and shooters across 7 domains. Land, air, sea, subsea, seabed, space,
Space.
EW, cyber, 7 domains
Right.
using AI.
Right.
So AI will apply across grids of war, sensors,
They're
shooters,
so fast.
logistics,
They're much faster.
and you can do it far better. And see, just to give you a sense of, or the viewers a sense of what AI will do, just 2 things from, they say, interestingly, that Einstein's IQ was 160. Chat GPT-4 is 155. My IQ is 130, yours must be 140. And Chat GPT-6
Yes.
will be 10 times
That,
in 2 years.
True. True.
So, एक Mo Godat hai, he's an American thinker.
Yeah.
He says, you have got a puppy into your home who's billion times smarter than you.
Correct.
It is for the humans now to redesign his.
Right.
So
His
AI
DNA
will really embellish us. And the third thing is, see, if today a hypersonic missile is getting in-flight, AI-enabled in-flight updates, the response cannot be at the rate of human judgment.
Cannot be. And then you're just left catching up, or you're just left
Look
behind.
at quantum. People think quantum is theoretics. I'll give you one more piece of statistics. Somebody said quantum supremacy could be 3 years away, 6 years, 8
Sure.
years, but the day it happens, what ordinarily a problem which would take 10,000 years for a supercomputer to solve, a
Right.
quantum computer will do in 200 seconds. Look at the impact on encryption,
Correct.
which is going to transform the
Yeah,
military.
completely.
No wonder the CIA is saying that the quantum threat is as grave as China. These debates in India should start now, actions and debates. And if we do this, the power asymmetry can reduce
reduce,
greatly, and that will give the signal to.
No, so luckily, at least the quantum mission, from what I know, Abhay Karandikar, who's now become the Secretary Science and Technology, he's come from IIT Kanpur, which is one good thing which has started off late, that you're getting professionals to come into the government to take decisions. I think quantum mission is something.
Yeah, but
that's
here,
going
see,
to-
since you raised this point, I would like just to make this point. What we are in danger of doing still, because this is how the West thinks,
Right.
and this is where I agree with Mr. Jaishankar, we must not
Have
do
our
what the
own
West
way.
does, think our own way.
Yeah.
The West says dual use,
Yeah.
so civil military. So like in space, the military will lag.
Lag.
We need a parallel quantum mission in the MOD or quantum linked to the
Links,
MOD.
yeah, exactly.
And see, you are up against them who use civil military fusion.
Exactly.
They lay no distinctions.
Nothing.
So you are naturally handicapping your,
yeah.
and I will not say military, strategic military.
Correct.
So we
Absolutely.
should think originally, and see, I think this is a wonderful place to make this point. What do our own texts tell us? They say the convergence of Lakshmi, Saraswati and Durga.
Absolutely.
So Saraswati means get your academia,
Yeah.
IITs,
Correct.
let them make wealth
Yeah.
and use wealth to nurse power.
Correct. Hard
It
power.
is totally against the civil military division.
Exactly. No, in fact, I would think it should now be the other way around. The military should start innovating and doing the research and give it to the civilians.
Now see, I'll tell you innovation. AI
Yeah.
cannot come to the military unless you get Craig Martels.
Right.
the startups will bring the AI
Yes,
revolution more than
absolutely.
DRDO. I'm not
Correct.
making a point on DRDO in its current state just doesn't have that
No,
innovation
that,
capability.
yeah, exactly.
And see those innovations, what is it? The game in AI cannot degenerate into a L1 contest.
No, it cannot
is
be.
innovation,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
talent.
absolutely, yeah, exactly.
It has to be a talent matching concept. Now these are the cultural transitions that have done. But
So-
see, you know MOD, I know
Yes,
MOD, and the whole defense apparatus.
Yeah.
It is so difficult to get this going
True.
because even the good people will tell you,
Yeah.
I agree with you entirely, Raj,
Yeah,
but
the
L1
rules
का मैं
don't
क्या
agree.
करूँ?
हाँ, the rules don't agree.
Innovation मतलब L1 को बदलना पड़ेगा.
Exactly.
And if these things happen,
Yeah.
we are as good as anyone. See, I'll give you one more statistic. Kishore Maharani makes this point. He says if the Indian mind productivity is even 50% of our Indian counterpart in USA,
Right.
our GDP will be $25 trillion.
Because there are so many of us.
We are we are good.
Good, yeah,
if we
exactly.
just unleash this whole,
That's
you know, these shackles that we have put
that's
around
true.
us,
Yeah,
this is what.
So when
we
you-
are in our moment. When the basic question is, much is right.
Yeah.
See, with the operational rebalancing, China is not going to mess with us along the LAC. They have
Correct.
got the message.
Yeah.
It is in these other areas where we
No, they
can
can
do.
keep chipping away, no? I mean, that's the problem. See, the
Yes, chip.
Chinese want to win without fighting. Fighting the old conventional war.
And see, you made this point so well. They are doing the same thing to the Americans. They are saying, you stay to your corner of the Pacific.
right.
And they send the message without doing any jhagda. When people ask, you know, will there be a war? There may not be. But if the power asymmetry goes,
Yes.
whenever there are conflicts, they will pose the question,
Correct.
ki bhai, ladna chahte ho?
Yeah, exactly. So we are,
And what will any sane mind in India do?
Correct.
So, you know, that original point, deterrence is costly, but wars are costlier.
Costly,
Ask the
absolutely.
Ukrainians.
And deterrence has to be in the mind, no? And to
Yes.
do that, you must have all these abilities or the capabilities.
And one big transition we need conceptually in our armed forces, we are fighting focused. Of course, that is very important.
Yeah.
We should also become deterrence focused.
Absolutely.
So strong in deterrence that there is no need to fight.